Okay, continuing Perek Chof Tes, from the words V'im Kain. So if you remember what we're trying to do over here, specifically over here in Perek Chof Tes, is how should a person try to get away from the Timtum Alev. The Timtum Alev is what we spoke about, these spiritual sort of layers that layer over his heart, that block the light, and that causes all sorts of things that happen in his life. So we started discussing what this Timtum Alev actually was, and we said the Eitzah from the Zohar Kodesh was really for a person mevatshin lei. That was the lashon of the Zohar Kodesh. We said that last time, which was to break a person, and that breaking, obviously, if it's done in a healthy way, will lead to positivity. And if you remember from the last few prokim, Chavav, Chav Zayin, and Chav Ches, we spoke about the idea that sometimes a negative can actually be a springboard for positivity. So let's go. V'im Kain. This guy is very, very distant from the Rabbeinu Shalom Sharei. Koyach hamis'ava shebenafshoy bahamis yochel gam kein lis'avos ledvorim asurim sheheim neged v'tzoyno yispark. Like the Maisa, what's happening inside him? Remember, we're dealing with a regular guy. We spoke about that. We're not dealing with a tzaddik who's transformed himself to be the same as his nefesh elokis. Mimela, this guy has taivas. Not only taivas, he has all sorts of things that he wants to do that are also sheim neged v'tzoyno yispark. Af. He knows he's not going to do them, but he wants to. In his mind, he would love to do them, but he knows, like, Ad Khan, there's like a red line. That I'm not going to do that, but in my mind, can you imagine if, right? Everyone's got that idea. Not everyone, trying to say everyone. People have this thing. If I had a button to press, and I could say for the next 24 hours, I'm not going to be a yid, and I'm not accountable at all whatsoever, gunished. What would you do in those 24 hours? I don't even want you to think, guys. Don't even think about it, because it's probably not healthy. But I'll go upon him, that's what's going on here. He has these taivas to do things, but he's not going to do them. That's the issue. They're not mu'us etzloi, like they are by tzaddikim. They're not disgusting. If you remember Perek Yud Beis, or maybe I'll give you a little bit of a reminder, what the Tanya is doing over here is he's giving us the litmus test. Right? How do you test yourself to see where you're really holding? And the answer is, at tzaddik, someone on a very high level, he's so disgusted by something that's also, by something that he shouldn't be doing, that's neged Ratzon Hashem. It's sick, it's disgusting, I would never touch such a thing. Masha Enkein, someone that's not holding there, which is, I'd say, most people, so he's not disgusted by it. He would love to do it, but he knows, I'm not going to do that. That's the litmus test with Tanya. Ubezeu gorua umeshukatz musoyrav yoisemi balechayim atmeim ushkotzem v'rumosim kanal. Perek Chof Daled, everybody remembers. What do we say in Perek Chof Daled? When a person does an avei, or at least has a taiva, or a ratzah, or an urge to do it, he's even lower than the lowest animal. If I remember correctly, we said a mosquito even. The lowest of the lowest Tomei animals, he's lower than that. That's what's going on over there. Right? Because the Sitra Achra at the end of the day has got him, and the Sitra Achra, even though it was created by the Rabbeinu Shalom, this guy's choosing, or even he hasn't done it, but he kind of wants to be over on the Ratzon Hashem. It's a terrible thing. Right? The Pasuk says very clearly, I'm a tolas, I'm a nothing, I'm an insect. V'gam, when his nefesh elokis, I call that a beinoni over here, has the ability to conquer, to win, to victory, to have power over everything else by being ma'ora, by arousing the Avas Hashem b'shas hatefillah. That's when it happens. We spoke about that all the way. Well, not all the way. We spoke about by Krishma, all the Kabbalah of Malchus Sheman. Ein be'emes la'mita legamri. It's not 100% there. Ma'achar shechi lefes va'iveres achat tefillah kanal b'soy Perek Yud Gimel. If you remember, Perek Yud Gimel, we're going through all the things that we started with that we were probably wondering when we learned them, like, what do you have to know this for? Now we understand it. Because even though he's managed to overpower the urges, his physical pleasures that he's looking for and he wants to, and whatever it is that he's trying to get to, he manages to conquer and overpower it. It doesn't last very long. Right? Because at the end of the day, as we said, even those wonderful emotions that you have of Avas Hashem, when you sing Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, and your mamish think about the Rabbeinu Shalom is Echad in all directions, and you move your head like the Shulchan Aruch, the whole thing, right? At the end of the day, after davening, what happens? He closes the Seder, and he goes back to his life. Right? As I said in Balatanya. It doesn't last that long. We're a beinoni at the end of the day. Halavai is the Lashon of Balatanya. Or beprat, kishiyizke tumas nafshe b'chatas nourim. Oh, these situations When a person wants to break himself, and we're all coming from last time from the Zohar Kodesh, where he says that's the only eitzah to get out of the Timtum Alev, is for a person to have these, so to speak, sessions within himself of remembering where he's holding. So he's saying, what if you remember the Averas that you did when you were a kid, when you were younger? What about those things? By the way, the Baal Tanya is not saying it before, but rather he's being meramas to the Avera of Zera Levatola. Right? When a person spills seed that he shouldn't be spilling, Zera Levatola, that's what he's being meramas to right over here as well. When a person is remember the Chatas Nu'urim generally means the sins of your youth, that's what he's referring to. V'shomu lemala min hazman, u'ki'ilu b'gav b'nit b'hayoim chas v'sholom mamish. So the Baal Tanya Gavaldig Azach, you have to remember this. It's hard to hear this, but this is the Metzias. That when a person does an Avera, and he's going to talk about Teshuva in a moment, it's as if he did Avera right now, even though he did it 10 years ago. What do you mean? It says that he's not done, he's done Shiva and everything. We'll talk about Teshuva in a minute. But the Maisa, in the Alyonim, in the upper worlds, that Avera is still there to some degree, which means it's Kilu in front of you as if you did it right now. What do you mean? I did Teshuva, Yom Kippur, I did everything I was meant to do. Hooray. Ika Teshuva balev. V'alev yesh b'bechenes madrigas rabbis. The Ika Teshuva is, after all, is in your heart. You can say whatever you want, but the Teshuva really is in your heart. It's your emotions. It's really what you feel and what you promise and how you're going to live. So, Memela, that everyone's heart has different madrigas, and within the heart there's all sorts of different things that you could be doing. V'kolifi mashu odom, depends on you. Ulefi azman, v'amokem, kyodua, l'yoidim. So what he's telling us over here is we've got two components specifically of Teshuva. There's the practical side of not repeating the Avera, which obviously is very important. It's a very important component of Teshuva, is not repeating the Avera. But there's another thing, and that's part two. The Baal Tanya is telling us part two of Teshuva is the emotional side of, I guess, the remorse of being upset or being embarrassed or being, this is something that I shouldn't have done. And the Baal Tanya is telling us, you may have perfected number one, Chelik Aleph, which is never doing it again, great. But you haven't really perfected number two, which is the emotions and being part of who we are, that we don't do this anymore. That's what he's telling us. At this time, when you see, and remember, what are we talking about over here? Let's go back to understand. What's B'shazu? We started the Perek of Test saying if a person feels that in his Yiddishkeit, he feels that no emotion. He's like a rock. He's like a stone. Comes to davening, comes to learning. I feel gonish. What am I doing? Where's my geschmack? Where's the emotion? Where's the fire? Where is it? So at this time, as we started with, you can't get igniting the fire. The wood's not lighting up. That means that today your tshuva has not been accepted. And your Averas are being mavdil. We've spoken about that also previously. When a person does Averas, it separates him from the Rebbeinu Shalom. When you separate from Hashem, how do you expect to have geschmack emotions and Yiddishkeit and davening and everything else? It doesn't go. There's a separation. And even though I didn't do that Avera today, Zuk the Baal Tanya, it's still there as if I did it today. He writes that clearly, right? So Mamela, the Avera that I did 10 years ago, I did Teshuva. I cut al chait. I did what I was meant to do. But the Ma'aseh Avera is still there, and it's still being mavdil between me and Avinu Shabashamayim. Oi, sheroitzim la loise leTeshuva ilo yoise meikod delibad yoisa. Now it gives us a new point, and that is v'lechein. Let's just do that. Omar David v'chatosi negdi tomid. That means like this: Avad you did Teshuva, you did Teshuva, and you did a good Teshuva, but you were younger, so it was more superficial. You're much more mature now. You're older. You understand more. You have a deeper understanding into who you are and what you did and what it affects. Mimela, Zuk the Baal Tanya, the level of tshuva that you did is no longer acceptable. You need to do a much more mature, deeper level of tshuva to get rid of, and that's why he quotes David HaMelech. David HaMelech saying, "V'chatosi negdi tomid." That was, okay, you accepted it then because that's what the level I was on. I was 14 years old. All right, so you accepted it. But now I've got to continue doing tshuva. That's what David HaMelech said, that my Averas are constantly there. We're going to continue, like I said, it's a long period, a lot more to do with Hashem. We should continue with Sat Tishmaya.